There is a silent song humming through the cosmos, a vibration so pure, so ancient, that it existed long before the first breath of time. And this song, this eternal current, is what responds to the frequency you emit. You are not separate from it. You are not apart from the universe. You are of it. You are made of it. Your essence is energy. And that energy carries a frequency, one that speaks, even when your mouth is closed, even when your thoughts are chaotic, even when your heart is breaking. And the universe listens not to your words, but to your vibration. You may have been taught that the world is happening to you, but the deeper truth, the one whispered to the soul when it is still, is that life is happening through you. It mirrors you, reflects you, echoes back to you, not your circumstances, but your consciousness. Not your struggle, but your state. You are not a powerless observer floating in a chaotic sea. You are a powerful creator immersed in a field that responds to what you are being. And what you are being is everything. Not what you're doing, not what you're hoping, but what you are. There is a field of energy around you that is constantly broadcasting a signal. That signal is your dominant emotion. It is your core belief. It is the story you keep silently telling yourself. And the universe, in all its infinite wisdom and non-judgmental compassion, simply aligns with it. It doesn't judge your frequency. It doesn't decide whether you're worthy or not. It simply responds. If you are living in fear, it will meet you with more reasons to be afraid. If you are living in love, it will offer you more to love. If you are rooted in scarcity, life will echo back lack. If you are grounded in gratitude, life will mirror abundance. This is not punishment or reward. This is resonance. The universe is not a parent with favorites, nor is it a system of reward points for good behavior. It is vibration, and vibration cannot be tricked. You cannot fake alignment. You cannot affirm over a wound that hasn't been healed. You cannot chant joy from a soul that has not yet made peace. Because the universe doesn't hear your words. It feels your signal. So the real journey, the sacred work, is not in begging the universe for better, but in becoming better aligned with who you truly are beneath the noise. And who you truly are is light, is love, is divine presence in a temporary form. You don't need to get anything from life. You only need to become what life responds to. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Let us stop for a moment and ask the real question. What signal am I sending out into the field right now? Is it the frequency of resentment, of comparison, of fear, self-doubt, and trying to be enough? Or is it the quiet, anchored presence of someone who remembers even for a moment that they are not this mind, this emotion, this body, this history, but the one witnessing it all? Because that shift from identification with the ego to identification with the soul is the shift that changes everything. You see, the ego wants to manipulate the universe. It says, if I do this, then I should get that. It bargains, it pleads, it performs, it pretends. But the soul does not bargain. The soul remembers. The soul radiates. The soul does not need to force life into shape. It simply returns to its true frequency, and life takes form around it. This is the art of surrender. Not giving up, but tuning in. Not efforting, but aligning. Not striving, but allowing. The rose does not open by force. It opens by being in harmony with the season. So must you. There is nothing more magnetic than a being who has returned to their natural frequency. They do not beg, they do not chase, they do not prove. They simply become the embodiment of what they once thought they needed to seek. And then life bends around them effortlessly, like gravity answering its source. The universe responds not to your need, but to your being. Not to your pain, but to your peace. Not to your desire, but to your wholeness. And you are already whole. But somewhere along the way, you believed otherwise. Somewhere, you inherited the idea that you must strive, must hustle, must become more as though the infinite could be measured in worth. And in doing so, you moved from presence to pretense, from frequency to friction, from flow to force. But your soul remembers the truth. It remembers what it feels like to rest in the now, to be in the moment without agenda, to breathe without resistance, to love without condition, to trust without knowing. And when you return to this place, not in theory, but in being, everything changes. Because the universe cannot help but meet you where you are. And where you are vibrationally is always creating what comes next. Let this not frighten you, let it free you. Because it means you are not at the mercy of fate or karma or broken history. You are not the victim of some random algorithm in the sky. You are the author of resonance, the chooser of frequency, the mirror to which all things are drawn. So if you want more love, be the love that no longer waits. If you want more abundance, embody the gratitude that already sees it everywhere. If you want peace, be still and know you are not the storm. You are the sky it moves through. When your frequency rises, your life cannot stay the same. Not because you manipulated the external, but because you transfigured the internal. You alchemized your energy. You didn't chase, you tuned. You didn't fight, you surrendered. You didn't shout, you harmonized. And so the entire orchestra of your existence changed keys. You are not meant to push the river. You are meant to remember that you are the river. You are the stream that flows through valleys of experience, over stones of challenge, under bridges of doubt, and still you move forward, naturally, guided not by force, but by the silent pull of your own divine current. When you resist what is, you create dissonance in your frequency. But when you accept what is, you become powerful in your flow. And the universe ever so gently reorients to meet you there in the field of surrender where miracles bloom. Your frequency is your signature. It is not what you say about yourself. It is not the mask you wear or the image you curate. It is the hum beneath your silence. It is the truth that pulses underneath every smile, every thought, every breath. And the universe reads this with perfect accuracy, not to judge, but to align. You are not being punished by your life. You are being tuned by it. Every difficult moment, every closed door, every loss is not a cosmic insult. It is a compassionate response to what no longer matches the higher signal you were born to become. When you learn to listen inward instead of outward, you begin to hear the whispers of frequency before they become the shouts of fate. The soul always speaks before the suffering begins, but most of us wait. We wait for pain to teach us what presence could have shown us in stillness. We wait until our bodies break down before we rest. We wait until we're alone to understand the need for self-love. We wait until we're depleted to realize we were chasing from a frequency of emptiness. But the universe never rushes you. It waits too patiently, lovingly for you to come back to your vibration. And what is your vibration, truly, when all the noise is cleared? It is peace. Not the kind found in a quiet room, but the kind that radiates from a quiet heart. It is joy. Not the temporary high, but the steady flame that burns even in the rain. It is love. Not the transaction of affection, but the unconditional remembrance that you are what you seek. There are no shortcuts to frequency. You cannot meditate your way into joy while secretly resenting the world. You cannot visualize abundance while clinging to fear. The inner world is precise. It does not lie. And that is its beauty, that is its power. Because it means your transformation is not dependent on the external. You can shift your frequency in this moment, not tomorrow, not next year, now. Take a breath. Deep, unforced, honest, and feel for just this breath what it means to be enough without becoming more, to be worthy without proof, to be loved without condition. Now feel what rises. If it's resistance, that's okay. Let it speak. Let it move. For nothing lowers your frequency like the repression of truth, and nothing raises it like the courageous return to self. You do not need to earn your way into alignment. You simply need to remove what no longer belongs. Let go of the guilt that was never yours. Release the shame that came from someone else's pain. Lay down the identity that was built to survive, not to thrive. You are not your mask. You are not your wounds. You are not your past. You are the presence beneath all of it. And presence is the highest frequency of all. When you walk into a room as presence, you don't have to say a word. People feel it. Children sense it. Animals are drawn to it. Nature responds to it. Because you are no longer emitting the static of separation, you are radiating the coherence of truth. You are no longer pretending, you are being. And in being, you become magnetic to everything that matches that vibration. Have you ever wondered why things fall apart when you finally choose yourself? Why relationships shift when you return to inner peace? Why doors close when you start walking in alignment with your soul? It's not because you're being punished, it's because your frequency changed, and what once resonated no longer fits. The old must fall away, not as loss, but as proof of rebirth. Let it go. Let them go. Let what no longer vibrates with your truth be released, not with anger, but with gratitude for showing you what you are not. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to trust that your energy is a compass. And when it is clear, it will guide you not to comfort, but to truth. Not to ease, but to expansion. And expansion often requires the shedding of skins, the unraveling of illusions, the death of who you thought you were. But this is not a tragedy. This is grace in motion. This is the universe saying, you are becoming more you than you have ever been. And so the question becomes, what frequency are you willing to live in now? Because the universe isn't waiting for your perfection. It's responding to your intention. It's not judging your flaws. It's aligning with your vibration. It's not testing your worth. It's reflecting your belief. Every thought you hold, every emotion you feed, every story you rehearse is an energetic instruction to life, not in punishment, in partnership. The field is intelligent, it is alive, and it is listening. When you speak, I am, the universe completes the sentence. I am broken, and it echoes back pain. I am healing, and it brings the teachers. I am whole, and it aligns the world to mirror it. So what are you claiming with your energy today? Not what are you saying, what are you being? If your mind is anxious, but your heart is present, listen to the heart. If your ego is screaming, but your soul is whispering, follow the whisper. For it is in the stillness beneath the noise where your true frequency resides, waiting for you to come home. Come home to the knowing that nothing outside of you is more powerful than what is within you. Come home to the silence that is not empty, but full of knowing, full of clarity, full of God. The mind will say you need to fix your life, rearrange your circumstances, hustle harder, prove something. But the soul knows you do not need to chase alignment. You need only to return to the place where you stop being honest with yourself. And in that return, your frequency begins to rise. It rises not through effort, but through authenticity. It rises not through performance, but through presence. It rises when you stop trying to be what you think the world wants, and start being what your spirit already is. You've been taught to chase vibration with achievement, but the truth is, you raise your vibration by releasing. Not by adding more, but by subtracting what no longer serves. Let go of the beliefs that bind you. Let go of the story that says you are small, unworthy, alone. That story was a survival strategy, not a reflection of your divinity. And the universe has never responded to your wounds. It has only responded to the energy those wounds created. So, if you are ready for life to meet you differently, meet yourself differently first. Speak to yourself with reverence. Think of yourself as divine. Treat your thoughts as seeds, for what you plant in the soil of your mind becomes the forest of your experience. Energy cannot lie. What you believe deep down becomes the blueprint of what the universe returns to you. And belief is not a sentence, it is a frequency. You can say, I am worthy 1,000 times. But if your energy says, I am still seeking proof, the field will respond to the seeking, not the words. So the real work, the sacred path, is to live as if your worth is not in question. Not to pretend, but to remember, to strip away every layer that ever told you otherwise, the beliefs that came from others, the shame that was inherited, the doubt that was absorbed from a world that forgot its own light. These are not yours. They were never yours. You were not here to carry them, you were here to transmute them. You are here to alchemize fear into presence, guilt into grace, and confusion into clarity. And the moment you choose to stand in your truth, the entire frequency of your life shifts. You've seen it. You've felt it. Those moments when you finally let go and suddenly things align. The phone call comes, the door opens, the path clears. Why? Because you didn't force life. You stopped resisting yourself. You let go of what kept you small. And in doing so, you matched the field of miracles that has been waiting for you all along. Miracles are not exceptions. They are reflections of alignment. You don't need to perform to be worthy of one. You need only to become the frequency of one. Become the vibration of love, and love will meet you in forms you never imagined. Become the vibration of peace, and chaos will no longer find a home in you. Become the vibration of wholeness, and nothing outside of you will have the power to break you again. This is not spiritual poetry. This is energetic law. The universe operates on resonance, and you, beloved, are a tuning fork of creation. If you are surrounded by noise, confusion, or lack, look not at the world, but within. Where's the noise in you? What story are you still playing on repeat? What belief are you still breathing life into that no longer aligns with your divine nature? Dare to pause. Dare to go inward. The world will pull you 1,000 different ways, but the soul only pulls one way, home. And home is not a place. Home is a frequency. It's the frequency of God within you. The still, unwavering hum of the infinite that has always been there beneath your pain, beneath your past, beneath your striving. You do not need to build your worth. You need only to uncover it. Strip away the noise. Let go of what isn't true. And feel, even now, what begins to awaken. This is the return. This is the healing. This is the frequency that shifts everything. You don't need the world to change for you to feel different. You need to feel different, and then the world begins to change. This is not a bypassing of reality. It is the deeper reality. For you are not just flesh and bone. You are vibration. You are light in motion, and the universe responds to that. The external is just the echo. The internal is the origin. So tend to your energy with care. Speak to your thoughts like you would a sacred child. Forgive your past with the softness of someone who has remembered the truth. Your energy is your power. Protect it, honor it, align it, and you will begin to experience a life that matches not your history, but your healing. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to transmute them. You are not here to beg life for blessings. You are here to radiate so brightly that blessings become inevitable. This is not arrogance. This is remembrance. Remember who you are. Remember what you are. Not the labels, not the name, not the roles or the wounds or the masks, but the presence behind all of it, the field of light that watches without judgment, the stillness that listens beneath the noise. That is you. And when you live from that place, you begin to emit a frequency so pure that the universe cannot help but respond in kind. It must, because you are it, and it is you. You are not meant to control the universe. You are meant to collaborate with it, but collaboration begins with clarity. Not clarity of outcomes, but clarity of energy. The most important question you can ask yourself is not, what should I do, but what am I radiating right now? Because your frequency does not lie. And life in its unending compassion will keep showing you what lives beneath the surface of your own awareness, not to shame you, but to free you. Every relationship that triggers you, every delay that frustrates you, every closed door that confuses you, these are not punishments, they are invitations. Opportunities to pause and ask, what am I being asked to release so that I can rise into a higher alignment? You see, the old self, the wounded self, the story-built self wants resolution through control. It wants to fix, force, and figure it all out. But the true self, the soul, wants resolution through resonance. It knows that the healing of your outer world begins with the coherence of your inner one. So you must begin to see everything not as happening to you, but as arising from you. Not in blame, never in blame, but in sacred responsibility. This is the frequency of a conscious creator. Not one who escapes life, but one who co-creates it with divine awareness. Because the more you attune to your true vibration, the more you become unshakable by what happens around you. Storms may come, but you no longer become them. Loss may arrive, but you no longer identify with lack. Uncertainty may rise, but you no longer abandon yourself to fear. This is frequency mastery. And it does not come from escaping the world. It comes from returning so deeply to the truth of who you are that the world can no longer distort your signal. You become the still point, the unmoved mover, the eye in the center of the storm. And in that stillness, the universe listens. It listens not because you are louder. It listens because you are clearer. It listens because you have dropped the noise, the need, the narrative, and you are simply being what you were always meant to be, a conscious emanation of love. This, beloved, is your natural state. Love is not something you earn. It is what you are when the noise is gone. And when you radiate from that place, the place of nothing to prove, nothing to chase, nothing to fear, the universe opens in ways you could never orchestrate from the mind. Doors swing wide. People arrive like divine appointments. Healing rushes in without effort. And peace becomes your resting place, not a fleeting destination. This is not a fantasy. This is the real world as seen through the frequency of soul. Let go of the belief that the world must change first, that people must apologize, that conditions must improve, that your body, your bank account, your relationships must reach some imagined perfection before you feel whole. No, the secret is this. When you feel whole first, the world begins to rearrange itself around your new vibration. Because frequency is creative. It generates experience. It doesn't wait, it initiates. So take the pressure off trying to get everything right. You don't need to perfect your outer life. You need only to become congruent in your inner world, to live in harmony with what you truly believe, to think thoughts that feel like peace, to feel emotions that echo your truth, to embody the energy of what you wish to experience, and then watch life respond, not in days, in moments, because alignment is not about time, it's about presence. Time is only needed when you're still fighting the frequency of what is. But presence collapses time. It opens portals. It reveals pathways that the mind cannot see. So breathe. Sink into your body, into your now, into this one sacred breath. You are here. And here is the only place miracles can happen. There comes a point on the spiritual path where effort becomes surrender and seeking becomes seeing. You begin to realize that you do not need to chase answers. You need only to become quiet enough to hear them. They are already within you. The wisdom, the peace, the clarity, it's not outside, waiting in some future version of your life. It is here, in this breath, in this now. And the only thing keeping you from it is the noise of resistance. Let it go. Let go of the timelines that pressure you. Let go of the expectations that confine you. Let go of the need to be more than what you already are. You are not here to prove your divinity. You are here to embody it. To walk into a room with a soft presence that shifts the air not by force but by frequency. To move through this world with a quiet knowing that says, I am not my story, I am not my fear, I am not my past, I am presence, I am love, I am light. You don't have to shout that truth. You don't even have to say it. You simply have to be it. And being it means trusting that the frequency you carry is the frequency that leads. When you walk as wholeness, life mirrors wholeness. When you rest in gratitude, the universe opens new pathways. When you drop into stillness, clarity emerges without effort. You begin to see life not as something to control, but something to collaborate with. You begin to sense that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, not always in the way the mind wants, but in the way the soul needs. And in that surrender, your frequency stabilizes. It no longer jumps with circumstance. It no longer reacts to every trigger. It no longer depends on validation or control or certainty. It becomes steady, grounded, unshakable. And from that space, miracles flow. Not because you forced them, but because you became them. Because miracles are not events, they are frequencies. And you, beloved, are the tuning fork. You are the transmitter. You are the divine channel through which life expresses itself in form. So live like it, think like it, love like it, speak like it, walk like it, breathe like it. The universe is not waiting to bless you. It is waiting to recognize itself in you, to feel the signal of presence radiating from your being, to align with your soul's signature, not your ego's plan. You don't need more effort. You need more presence, more peace, more inner clarity, more moments of silence where you remember, I am already what I seek. This is the ultimate shift. From becoming to being, from doing to radiating, from striving to surrender. And in that surrender, life unfolds with grace. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time, not because you manipulated the map, but because you matched the vibration of alignment. You'll be met by the right people, not because you chased them, but because you became a match for the energy they carry. You'll manifest beauty, not as a trick of manifestation techniques, but as a natural extension of the frequency of wholeness within you. Because energy doesn't lie. And you, when you remember your light, are the most powerful force in creation. Not powerful in the way of the world. Powerful in the way of peace. In the way of presence. In the way of God. So, slow down. The world may rush. but your soul never does. Presence has no urgency. Truth has no timeline. And love has no conditions. And when you live like that, when you live as if your soul is the leader, the universe has no choice but to respond in harmony. It must, because it is you. You are not separate. You are the wave and the ocean. You are the light and the source of light. You are the breath and the one who breathes. You are the prayer and the answer. The vibration you hold is your real power, not your resume, not your story, not your plans, your frequency. And when you choose peace, you tune your life to a higher octave of existence, one that doesn't need proof, only presence, one that doesn't chase, only flows, one that doesn't resist, only trusts. Let this be your new way of being. Not something you do once, but something you return to again and again and again until it becomes your resting place, your home, your essence. Let the world do what it does. You hold your frequency. Let others misunderstand. You keep loving anyway. Let the path twist. You stay present anyway. Let time pass. You remain timeless in your trust. Because the universe responds not to your pressure, but to your peace. Not to your control, but to your coherence. Not to your fear, but to your faith. And when you radiate from that place, steady, anchored, aligned life becomes a mirror of your liberation, a mirror of your healing, a mirror of your true self, awakened, whole, divine. This is the frequency of God. And you, dear soul, are its echo in form. So be still. And know, you are not waiting for the universe to change. The universe is waiting for you to remember who you already are. And it will respond, not because you begged, but because you finally believed. Because the moment you return to your true vibration, the entire cosmos rises to meet you there. In truth, in light, in love, in presence, always and forever. There comes a moment, not on the clock of the world, but on the clock of the soul, where something inside you whispers or perhaps finally dares to shout that you were never meant to stay dim. You were never meant to fold yourself small enough to fit someone else's mold. You were not designed to tiptoe through life, hoping not to disturb the expectations that have kept you hidden. No, you were born to shine, to radiate with such fullness that even your shadow begins to glow. But the tragedy, the gentle, avoidable tragedy, is that so many wait. They wait for applause. They wait for validation. They wait for someone to tell them, it's your turn now. But what if the permission you've been waiting for is already within you? The truth is, no one will hand you a golden key and say, now you may become yourself. Life does not offer certificates for authenticity. There is no degree in being real. Your soul came here not to be approved of, but to be revealed. You were not born to seek light from others. You were born to remember that you are the light. When you wait for permission, you're forgetting the truth of your being. You're forgetting that the universe does not operate on a system of worthiness metrics. The stars don't ask the sky if it's okay to shine tonight. The ocean doesn't apologize for rising. The trees do not shrink in springtime. They bloom not because they are told they're good enough, but because it is their nature to bloom. And so it is with you. You don't need someone else to recognize your value before you live in it. You don't need the crowd to cheer before you rise. You don't need the world to say now before you speak your truth. The divine essence within you, the infinite intelligence, the sacred energy that breathes you, has never once withheld its approval. Only the ego does that. Only the mind builds prisons out of past experiences and labels them truth. But your soul knows. Your soul remembers the blueprint that existed before you were taught to perform. It knows the sound of your voice before it was tamed. It knows your laughter before it was labeled too loud. It knows your ideas before they were called unrealistic. And so the invitation is this: remember who you are beneath the performance. Reclaim the right to stand tall in your own light. To speak words not rehearsed for safety, but born from your deepest knowing. You were not born for rehearsed approval. You were born for radical authenticity. Let the world adjust. You may have been conditioned to believe that humility means hiding, but true humility is not denial of your gifts. It is reverence for the source from which they come. And if your gifts come from God, from Spirit, from the infinite, then who are you to silence them? Who are you to pretend you are less than divine? Don't confuse shrinking with humility. Don't confuse silence with peace. Don't confuse approval with alignment. Alignment doesn't feel like applause. It feels like freedom. It feels like no longer betraying yourself to be accepted. It feels like no longer dimming your insight to make others more comfortable. It feels like no longer waiting for someone to give you the go-ahead to be magnificent. You see, we live in a world where the masses wait. They wait for a nod from culture, from religion, from family, from media, and in the waiting, their spirit grows weary. Their voice grows hoarse from whispering truths they dare not speak. But your life, your one sacred, luminous life, was never meant to be lived on standby. Why do we wait? We wait because we were taught to fear our power. Because somewhere along the way, we internalize the lie that shining makes others uncomfortable, that authenticity is a risk, that confidence is arrogance. But these are distortions, not truths. Confidence is a form of gratitude. Confidence is saying, thank you, life, for this breath, this body, this idea, this vision. I will not waste them. Arrogance is rooted in separation, but confidence, real confidence, is rooted in unity with Spirit. When you shine from the place of Spirit, you are not outshining anyone. You are inviting others to remember that they too have light. You become a lighthouse, not a spotlight. You become an invitation, not an imposition. You become free. And in your freedom, you give others permission to consider that they too can be free. The world needs your shine. Not the curated version, not the filtered self, not the one that waits for perfect timing. The world needs the real, raw, radiant you. And perhaps more importantly, you need you. You need the you that doesn't ask for permission. You need the you that dares to walk barefoot through the uncertainty and say, still, I choose truth. You need the you that sings even when the world is quiet. You need the you that cries and loves and creates without apology. This is not just about expression. It's about alignment. It's about remembering that the energy that dreamed stars into being also dreamed you. What if you saw yourself that way? What if you treated your thoughts like seeds and your attention like sunlight? What might blossom if you stopped giving all your energy to fear and started feeding faith instead? So many are waiting for a sign, but the sign is you. Your longing is the sign. Your yearning is the compass. Your dissatisfaction is holy. It is the soul's whisper saying, there is more for you. And it's not more achievement, not more applause. There's more alignment, more truth, more light. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for readiness. Stop waiting for certainty. They are illusions of the ego. Life responds to energy, not hesitation. Spirit speaks to movement, not delay. The moment you declare, I am no longer waiting to be myself, the universe rearranges itself to meet your courage. And yes, not everyone will understand, not everyone will celebrate, but your soul will sigh in relief. And that peace, that deep soul level peace, is worth more than 1,000 hollow claps. You were not sent here to be understood. You were sent here to be whole, to live a life that feels like you, to breathe air that tastes of freedom, to create not for applause, but for alignment, to love without guardrails, to speak without trembling, to stand without crutches, to shine without waiting. And when you do, when you finally release the need to be allowed something miraculous happens, you begin to see that the world was never your jailer. Your own mind was. You begin to see that all the locked doors were made of paper. You begin to see that your radiance was never the problem. Your forgetting was. And now you remember that you are not your name or your job or your roles. You are a divine expression of infinite intelligence, having a temporary human experience. You remember that your value is not in your doing, but in your being. You remember that you are not broken, you are blooming, not late, not behind, right on divine time. So here's the truth that will set you free. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You don't need to wait. You only need to remember and then shine. ChatGPT, Dernoi, you are the answer to a prayer the universe made to itself. You are not an accident, not an extra, not an accessory to someone else's journey. You are the spark that was sent to illuminate a corner of this vast, hungry world that only your soul knows how to touch. So why dim that flame because someone else forgot how to burn? Why hush your voice because someone else is afraid of their own echo? Why hesitate when every breath you take is already proof that you are chosen? Not chosen above others, but chosen for life, for light, for the sacred task of being utterly, unapologetically you. And still the mind resists. It says, but what if I'm wrong? The ego whispers, what if I fail? But failure only exists in the currency of fear. In the language of the soul, there is only movement, only growth, only becoming. There is no such thing as wasted light. Even the flicker of a candle in the darkest cave changes the atmosphere. Your presence is power. Your energy alters rooms. Your truth ripples through time in ways you may never witness, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. Don't ask, who am I to shine? Ask, who am I not to? Don't ask, what will they think of me? Ask, what will I think of myself if I betray this call one more time? Don't ask, what if I'm too much? Ask, what if I'm finally enough for myself? Because that's where the healing begins, when you decide that your life is yours again. When you stop outsourcing your worth and start coming home to the quiet, bold truth of your own being. You are not the version of yourself that others created. You are not the echo of their fears or the canvas of their projections. You are not a reaction. You are a revelation. You are not here to fulfill their stories. You are here to write your own. You are the author, the ink, the page, and the breath that turns it. And when you own that, truly own it, the entire cosmos seems to conspire in your favor, not because you've become something new, but because you've finally become what you always were. There is something holy about no longer needing to be liked. Something liberating about no longer trying to be understood. When you let go of those shackles, you become wild in the most sacred sense. Not reckless, but whole. Not chaotic, but true. You become aligned with the rhythm of your own soul. And that rhythm is what the world has been starving for. Not more carbon copies, not more mimicry, but people who walk with the sound of God in their step and the weight of their own truth in their spine. Do not wait for someone to crown you worthy. You are already royal in the realm of spirit. Do not wait for someone to grant you access to joy. It has always been your birthright. Do not wait for the external to catch up with your internal knowing. Lead with it. Trust that the invisible becomes visible when you live as though it's already real. Walk like it, speak like it, create like it, heal like it. You see, the world doesn't need another polished version of someone else's dream. It needs your raw essence. It needs your tears, your belly laughs, your curious mind, your messy truth. It needs the way you notice beauty in places others overlook. It needs the way you hold space, the way you say what others are afraid to, the way you break open and still bless the sky with gratitude. Permission is a prison if you think it must come from outside you. Real power is quiet, not because it's unsure, but because it doesn't beg. It moves, it decides, it declares. And this is your declaration. I will no longer betray myself for the comfort of others. I will no longer silence my voice so others don't feel confronted by truth. I will no longer tiptoe through my own purpose. I will stand, I will rise, I will shine. And let those who fear light look away. You were not sent here to be agreeable. You were sent here to be aligned. Agreement changes with the wind. Alignment lives in eternity. The moment you choose alignment, even if you tremble, even if your knees shake the moment you choose it, you become a portal for possibility. The universe begins to say, finally, she remembers, he knows, they're ready. And no, it won't always be easy. You will be challenged. You will be doubted. You may even doubt yourself. But the soul doesn't ask for easy, it asks for true. The soul doesn't crave comfort, it craves expansion. And when you give it that, when you say yes to the full expression of yourself, healing happens in dimensions you cannot see. You become the mirror others didn't know they were looking for. You become the invitation others didn't know they were waiting for. You become the example of what it looks like to be free. Not because you did everything right, but because you stopped pretending you were wrong to begin with. This is not just about you. This is about the ripple you create by becoming real. Every act of courage, every moment you speak from the soul sends a wave into the collective field. You liberate not only yourself, but all those silently waiting for someone to go first. So go first. Be the one who doesn't flinch when others win. Be the one who speaks kindness in rooms where cruelty is fashionable. Be the one who listens to their inner voice louder than the world's noise. Be the one who forgives, because freedom matters more than resentment. Be the one who shines, not because it's easy, but because it's your truth. And when you live like this, your life becomes not just a journey, but a testimony. A living, breathing, radiant proof that you never needed permission. Only remembrance, only courage, only love. Because that's what it all comes down to. Love. Not the shallow version sold in stories, but the deep, unwavering, untamed love that says, I see you, I honor you, I will no longer betray you. That kind of love is the soil from which your radiance grows. That kind of love is the only foundation strong enough to hold the full expression of who you are. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not unfinished. You are unfolding like the sky at dawn, soft, then bold, then glorious. And just like the sun doesn't ask the moon for permission to rise, neither should you. Just rise. Even if they don't clap, rise. Even if they call it selfish, rise. Even if your voice shakes, rise. Even if you're unsure, rise. Because the rising is not a performance, it's a return to truth, a return to source, a return to the you that always was, underneath the noise, beneath the masks, beyond the waiting. And the moment you stop waiting, you start living. Truly living. No longer acting out someone else's script, but writing your own in bold, bright, beautiful strokes. So shine, dear soul. Shine because you can. Shine because you must. Shine because you were born to. And in your shining, may others remember they are light too. Let this be the turning point. Not tomorrow, not next week, Not when conditions feel favorable, but now. Because now is all you've ever truly had. The future is an echo of your present decisions, and the past is a teacher, not a master. So drop the illusion that your greatness is somewhere out there waiting for the perfect alignment. The alignment begins inside. It begins with a quiet yes, a yes to yourself, to your voice, to your vision. That yes ripples through your nervous system like electricity awakening dormant wires, and suddenly what was sleeping begins to rise. And when you rise, you will scare the parts of others still pretending to sleep. They may project, they may retreat, they may misunderstand, but remember, that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to stay in the light, even when it feels unfamiliar, even when it's lonely, even when the echo of doubt calls you back into the shadows. Because you weren't meant to dwell in the shadows of your potential. You were meant to illuminate them. You were meant to take the unloved parts of yourself and say, even you belong. You were meant to gather the rejected corners of your being and bring them home to integrate, not exile, to forgive, not condemn, to heal, not hide. And as you do this, you become whole, not perfect, not polished, but whole, a living embodiment of divine restoration. You don't need to wait until you've fixed every flaw to show up in your brilliance. That's another trick of the ego, that you must earn your place, that you must prove your worthiness, but you were born worthy. Before the labels, before the roles, before the conditioning, you were whole. You are still whole. Your light does not depend on your performance, it depends on your remembrance. So remember this, you are not your mistakes. You are not your regrets. You are not your trauma. You are the consciousness that has endured. You are the presence that has grown. You are the soul that has learned to rise not in spite of it all, but because of it. And that's why your shine matters. Because it's not naive, it's not pretend, it's not surface deep. It is the light forged in fire, born from the ashes of your becoming. It is the shine of someone who has walked through darkness and still chose love. The shine of someone who has faced silence and still chose voice. The shine of someone who has known rejection and still chose to open. You are that shine. And every moment you choose to live from that place, from love, from truth, from courage, you alter the frequency of this planet. Not metaphorically, literally. Your consciousness becomes a signal, and others, still lost in the fog of waiting, feel that signal. They feel your freedom, and something in them remembers their own. You don't shine for validation. You shine because it's medicine. You shine because the world is sick with fear, and your authenticity is the antidote. You shine because it is the most honest thing you can do, the most spiritual thing, the most healing thing. And this shine doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's the soft no that honors your boundaries. Sometimes it's the silent prayer you whisper for a stranger. Sometimes it's the decision to rest when the world pushes productivity. Sometimes it's just being fully, freely, unapologetically you. No mask, no pretense, just essence. And as you do this, the old world begins to fade. The world of pretending, of performing, of seeking outside what only exists within, that world crumbles in the presence of truth. And you, your soul, your radiance, your voice become the bridge to something new. A world where people remember they were always free. A world where hearts speak louder than algorithms. A world where permission is obsolete because truth has taken its place. So shine, not for approval, but for revolution. Shine, not to be better than, but to be more of. Shine, not as a performance, but as a prayer. A prayer that says, I remember who I am. I remember what I came for. I remember that I am not separate from the divine. I am an expression of it. And I no longer wait for the world to allow that. I choose it. I choose it now. Let that be your mantra. I choose it now. I choose to live, to love, to speak, to be now. Not someday, not maybe, now. Because the world doesn't need another obedient soul. It needs a soul on fire. A soul so fully awake that even silence becomes a sermon. A soul so deeply aligned that even their presence is a liberation. That's what you are. That's what you've always been. So breathe in your enoughness. Breathe out the waiting. Walk in your knowing. Stand in your presence. And shine like it's what you were born to do. Because it is. And so we arrive at the holy edge of remembering the place where all pretending ends and all truth begins. This is the threshold where the soul takes the pen back from fear, where the inner voice no longer whispers but sings, where your very breath becomes a proclamation of freedom. You are not waiting anymore. You are not hoping to be noticed, hoping to be chosen, hoping to be seen. You are already chosen by the mere miracle of existing. You are already seen by the very intelligence that wove galaxies and still found time to sculpt you. You came here with everything you need. The light is not something you earn, it is something you reveal. It is peel back, one choice at a time. Each time you say yes to truth instead of safety, to presence instead of performance, to freedom instead of familiarity. It glows more with every risk of authenticity, every refusal to dim, every sacred moment you dare to be the real you. And the ego will still try to reclaim the reins. It will tell you that you must wait until you're perfect, that you must first heal every wound, gain every credential, earn every badge. But the soul knows better. The soul knows you are already a vessel for divine energy, not because you've become flawless, but because you finally stopped resisting your essence. You are not powerful because you force the light. You are powerful because you remember you are it. Let go of the guilt for wanting to be seen. That is not vanity. That is divinity, calling itself forward through your eyes. Let go of the fear that your truth will alienate you. If it does, let what was false fall away. Let go of the fantasy that one day the world will hand you a golden hour. The moment you declare your light sacred, that hour begins. You don't need the room to be ready. You just need to be willing to stand even if your knees shake. Willing to love even if your heart was broken. Willing to speak even if your voice wavers. Willing to show up not when you are done evolving, but precisely because you are. Life doesn't wait for you to become perfect. It rushes in the moment you become real. That's the miracle. That's the shift. That's the exact second when the caterpillar no longer mourns its shell, but stretches toward the wings it once feared were too much. And let me remind you of this one more time, not because you haven't heard it, but because repetition is the rhythm of remembering you are not your doubt. You are not your fear. You are not your past. You are not your wounds. You are not your title. You are not your roles. You are not your trauma. You are not your projections. You are not what they told you could or couldn't be. You are soul. You are presence. You are breath and stardust. You are poetry dressed in skin. You are the living expression of something eternal. And when you shine, when you finally let that truth breathe through you without filter, without compromise, you don't just change your life. You ignite a fire in the field of humanity that says, we are allowed to be ourselves. We are allowed to be enough. We are allowed to be radiant without explanation. You become an embodiment of what the world forgot, that we are all divine, all needed, all sacred, all vessels of light, and that no one has the authority to revoke that. Not culture, not shame, not history, not religion, not fear. There is no gatekeeper to your soul. There is no lock on the door of your truth. Only the illusion that you must wait. And today, this moment, is the undoing of that lie. Let it all go. Let go of the apologies, let go of the comparisons, let go of the guilt for simply existing in your fullness. Let go of the habit of asking for permission to be beautiful, to be bold, to be true. Let go of the need to earn your light and begin to embody it. From this day forward, live like the sun that forgot how to dim. Walk like you've already been welcomed by the cosmos. Speak like the breath in your lungs is sacred. Act like your life is the only stage where this particular soul of yours will ever dance. And when the fear arises, because it will meet it with compassion, but do not obey it. Let it sit beside you, but do not give it the map. You are not here to be led by fear. You are here to be led by Spirit. And Spirit is not waiting. The time is not coming. The time is now. You are not almost ready. You are already chosen. You are not lost. You are awakening. You are not broken. You are remembering. And the light you are, the infinite, radiant, untamable light, is no longer a seed waiting to bloom. It is a flame that has caught fire, and the world, ready or not, will have to adjust to your radiance. You've waited long enough. So this is it. This is the moment. You stop waiting for permission. You take up your space. You raise your voice. You forgive yourself. You love yourself. You remember yourself, and then you shine.